Hello friends, welcome to the special edition of Friendly Show. Today we are all in the Balkans. We are in Sofia, Bulgaria on the Balkan Ruby conference. And today I have two speakers.
Come on.
I've got Adrian, who just gave a talk, and I've got Irina from Evil Martians. Ooh. Hello, Irina.
Hey.
Hey guys, yeah, excited to be with you as always. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So we're at Balkan Ruby, which is the slogan is back in business, because the Balkan Ruby conference is back in business, and the whole theme is about business. So we have a lot of people that are having businesses with Ruby and with the development, sharing their stories, right? You opened the conference and shared about how you can do it with consulting, and you can, you spun off any cable, and you're doing business there with like an open core business. I spoke about my business with Avo. What do you think about the other talks as well? Like,
Mhm.
what do you think about like the different approaches that all of us kind of have?
Yeah, I really like the idea of conferences specializing on something, not just Ruby, right? We now have, for example, Balkan Ruby specializing on the business side of things. We also had Rails SaaS, right, which
great.
was also
Yeah.
sort of more about business and maybe SaaS products built with Rails. But this one is, but we don't have that this year, first of all. And then like, I like the idea that we can be here talk about consulting or products. So many people do this.
Yeah.
Yourself is consulting, right? So yourself, you're an educator and consultant, right?
yes, so I've got to the Superel's YouTube channel. I've previously created a few courses on Udemy and on Gumroad, and I do consulting for clients.
Yeah, yeah. So and that's somebody recently told me that there's something entrepreneurial about Rubyists. That Rubyists in
Yeah.
general are
Yeah.
entrepreneurial. This is cool. I like sharing, and yeah,
Well,
Yeah.
maybe because it's easier to create a startup MVP in the Rails than in
Yeah.
some Java stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
that's true. That's
That's
true.
true.
I agree.
Yeah, and I quite like the talk about like monetizing open source, which was like super like distills like every type of open source, kind of monetization that you can think of. He started from tips like
You're talking about
sponsorship.
Boschidar.
Boshidar, yeah, Boshidar.
Mhm.
About like tips and how you can, sponsor a project all the way to like enterprise kind of like companies that do it. And yeah, that was quite cool.
Yeah, I agree. That was a great talk. And what I think the takeaway from Bojidar's standpoint, the way I
Yeah.
understood him for himself, is like he was trying to say, look, I'm not really commercializing this project,
Yeah.
but kind of I will um I will, you know, create my own limits, right? To to the level
Yeah.
of my involvement and to try to
Yeah.
stay sane
He's
in
doing
this.
open source for the sake of open sourceness.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's
And
kind of I got it.
makes sense because Robocop is so popular,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
the fact that it cannot kind of survive in donations at all. Like donations are not cutting it at all
Yeah.
for Robocop, something as popular as Robocop.
Yeah.
That's crazy. But I mean, we've known that before, but it's refreshing to kind of
Yeah.
hear those stories again.
And another thing, like from your talk about the fact that you should be like a node for like an engine for like helping your customers meet other customers, and introducing people. And I think this is what's happening here right now. Like, people are asking me like, oh, how hard it was, like what did you do then, what did you do now, because I did this and I did that. And I think this is such a nice cross pollination of like ideas and like experience, right, that
Yeah.
you don't get like anywhere
Yeah,
else.
actually, I wrote down my three like summary bullet points from your talk. So they were create opportunities to customers and people around you. Number one priority, be useful. Number two priority, make a deal. And make your customers be irrational towards you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that pretty much summarizes it. But yeah, the idea was that you kind of you want to have this really good foundation of your business by being able to build relationships around you, like with your clients and for beyond.
Yeah.
Because so many people, they finish the deal or they kind of sign the contract, they finish the contract, and then there's no continuation because they're not building a relationship with the customers.
Yeah.
And also, like, if you think about, Adrian, you remember how we first met? Do you remember our first call?
Yes, I was in Vilnius back then.
When was that?
It was last year, I think.
No,
March, April.
it's not the last year. Adrian, our very first Zoom call. You don't remember? I remember it. Okay, you forgot. You were pitching Ava to me,
Um,
to Evil Martians.
Not I was at Uruko, but I was in Vilnius at meetup. Yeah.
It was 2021. I didn't know.
Okay.
Like years ago, seriously. I remember thinking, you know what I thought back then? I thought, first of all, of course, I didn't know that much about you and your business. But second of all, I thought you are not charging enough. That I thought you say that your product is gonna save days, maybe weeks of work, maybe months, right? Because if you dedicate work on building the same functionality,
Yeah.
it's gonna take
Repetitive. Yeah.
a lot. But then you're we were charging something like a few hundred.
50 or something per
Yeah.
year. Yeah. 350.
Yeah, and I was like, doesn't kind of make
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah. I got that feedback.
Yeah.
And you can learn a lesson from charging a good price from Andrew Culver.
Yes.
Like Bullet Train, 5 years ago, it was already charging, I assume, 1,500 for
1,500.
yeah.
That's-
So like, I'm giving you value,
Yep.
and the price shows that you will get value.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's true, right? That they claim is sort of true and everything is.
And I got this feedback before that it has to be some correlation between like the value and the price. It does, like, people don't believe, like, it's too magic. Like,
Mhm.
how are you going to save me that much time and charge it this little? What's the catch here? Is that are you lying? Yeah, and we learned that lesson, and we,
Yeah, But-
played around with
yeah.
this.
But also what Bajadar said about commercialization, that people get a lot of sort of hate outlash
Yeah.
for
Yes.
releasing commercial versions.
Yes.
Is it your experience though?
Yes.
Yeah?
Like there's this community where it's very big with Rails. I won't name it. And when I started out, I didn't know anyone, so my
Mhm.
thought was like, I'm gonna go to the big community, and I
Mhm.
said they're like, hey, I have this thing, Gavo, which is like, and the panel. It has a free version, it has a paid
Yeah.
version, and immediately, like, oh my god, this is promotion, get out of here, put it in, like, they had a special promotion channel, like, take it
Sounds
out
like
or you get
Reddit.
kicked. Yeah, and somebody like really like told me things like, oh, but how do others do it for free, and why do you charge, you're stealing from us and whatever. And like Andrew Culver
Yeah.
popped up on, because they mentioned him, and he popped up and said like, hey, it's okay if you charge, like, we
Yeah.
couldn't make it for free if we didn't charge
Yep.
all this time.
Yep.
So
Yep.
it's like, I think we need a little bit of education around this
Yeah.
thing, that hey,
agree.
it's okay to
Yeah.
charge something for something of that
I agree. I think there's almost like a stigma
stigma.
in some communities, including maybe Rails community. I hope it's actually Sidekick is doing a lot for the community in like
Yeah.
normalizing
Yes.
the idea that okay, the product is
Yes.
a commercial product,
Yes.
but it kind of solves so many problems for you. I think the way I think about this is like open source has two sides. On one side is freedom of expression, freedom of doing what you want, right? And sort of so this free when you're doing something like open source without expectations, for free, for fun, out of passion, this is great.
Yeah.
But also people around you should kind of not expect you to
Fix all their problems.
kind of stop being free, kind of. Yeah, you do something like Bojidar says, I will fix the issue if it concerns me, if I'm
If I have the same pain, yeah.
if I want,
Actually.
if I need to, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But then there's no obligation.
Yeah.
There's no obligation to do work for other people.
Yeah, I agree.
But then there is a sort of commercial dual licensing, commercial open source, and
Yeah.
it's different. It's where we build things for other people, right? We kind of follow their lead.
But I think you should be also right with the messaging. You shouldn't be like Redis, like
Yeah.
pulling the plug.
Oh
No.
yeah, that's actually that's the worst, right? When you sort of, I don't know, I don't want to say bad things, but let's say change your mind in
Yeah.
yeah, in the
Well,
middle of yeah.
So we all like Redis is super hot right now, and they about them changing everything.
Hash.
Hashing, yeah, but it kind of like you kind of see like how others, like Amazon and other services, they kind of like stealing it or something. They try to create services based on that, and so basically now it means that I or whatever Redis that I cannot make money out of my project. So there should be some protection there.
I mean, what if tomorrow Amazon opens a new service, Amazon Avo,
Yes,
and it
exactly.
lets people build
Yeah.
apps based on Avo?
Exactly.
But then Armor has extended features in Armor Pro.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, as like any cable is also with any cable we're trying to keep everything that is kind of for single node usage in an open source version.
Yeah.
And then when you have a cluster, this
Yeah.
means you are a bigger organization,
Exactly.
and this is a pro version.
Yeah.
It's kind of
You're definitely building for something bigger, for a team or for a customer or somebody with that need that has money, so it's okay to monetize.
Yeah.
So you've reached that threshold.
and it's kind of huge. As actually has to be pretty huge
Yeah.
for you to need a cluster of any cables.
Yep. So it
Because,
makes sense.
One
So it
is
makes sense.
one is sufficient
Yeah,
for a bunch of stuff.
that's great.
Yeah, but something I was also thinking is I actually wrote a tweet about it that that open source doesn't need your donations.
Yeah.
Yeah, what I meant is they're never enough. I mean, of course, it's a good thing to have donations. The problem is when people hope that donations will
Be a
turn
sound.
things around,
Yeah.
right? For them, it never happens, and it's so what I think what and Marco commented, Xavier commented, like there was some discussion, and they said, and what I proposed is that I want companies to I want to know who's using the open source. I want the companies to be open in return to kind of say, yeah, by default, we will disclose that we're using the product.
Yes. And some of the funds are just going to go there. You're going to help the project.
Yeah, and then they will reach out to the maintainers more often. This is what it would.
But like, should I disclose that I'm using the gem device? Should I disclose that I'm using the Avo? Should I like have an open gem file and like list of services
be
that
cool.
my
Yeah.
app is using?
Yeah, that'd be actually cool. I mean, of course, I understand there are, even in Cable Pro, we have one company that, I mean, we have many companies that are not disclosing that they're using us.
Yeah.
But one company specifically, they said for security reasons, they cannot disclose their stack.
Of course.
I understand that for sure. But like by default, most companies, they're not disclosing it because for this, right?
Yeah. It's just
And you're still disclosing your stack in job openings.
Of course.
You say, I'm looking for Rails engineers. It's kind of obvious that you have
Yeah.
Rails.
Experience in this and this particular thing
Yeah.
in Rails.
Yeah.
But there could be some tooling to anonymize someone. Like, you don't have to disclose that publicly, but you could say, would you like GitHub, like, would you like to let any cable know that you are using them? And you could say, okay, yes, of course. And that would be like a secret between you two, and, you get some usage.
Also, yeah, maybe that. But I'd want this to be by default,
Actually, I've seen the checkbox in a few services that like when you sign up to the paid version, you agree to have your company like listed in the list of users.
Oh, it's true. Yeah, I saw it.
That's nice fun. You can add it to terms of service.
Yeah, I'm actually thinking about this.
So you can make it like opt out.
Yeah, opt out. Yeah, but you know what? When you have the paid users, for some reason, they give you much. They are accustomed to the idea of telemetry, for example. Like analytics, something like sending you some usage data. They're accustomed to, and kind of getting your emails. They're accustomed to it.
It's
Right?
a little bit different. Yeah. It's
And then open source, in open source, you have sort of nothing. I don't like it.
it's it should be open, free, and I should be using it however I want it, and that's it.
Never
That's
give you
it.
credit.
Never. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
never
Which is
this is, I think, right? It can, I think, maybe even rebalancing the credit. I mean, the idea that you at least say that you're using this product.
Yeah.
Maybe even I'd prefer public, but okay. Maybe even that alone could, change the
Help out. Yeah.
the
Definitely.
balance.
It's a one-way, kind of like a one-way street.
Mhm.
Like when you listed Ruby gems, use Avo, I was like, wow.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly. Right?
it's
Yeah.
prestigious.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's precision. Yeah,
I reached out to them, so everything was consensual.
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
but you don't know who else is using the open source version, and maybe it's
Yeah.
some cool. I remember.
Maybe Apple is.
Yeah,
Maybe I don't know. I
mean,
can't
they
talk
do-
about.
they do
I know about big clients that
Okay.
everybody knows, but I can't talk
I
about.
know that
big
Apple has
clients.
some services in Ruby.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah,
I met
yeah.
the guy in Brazil that works at Apple at the Tropical RV. So they do have some Ruby, some Rails apps sitting there. Yeah.
Yeah, in our at our so I met a recruiter who's recruiting people Rubyists for Apple. So she said they do like a logistics. They acquired a company that was doing logistics, and there
Oh.
when you kind of trade in
Yes.
iPhone,
Yes.
this is the service.
Yes.
So the iPhone, then there's some logistics after you.
I almost interviewed for that job. It's great.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, good.
Yeah. Yeah. Attribution. That would be something.
Yeah, attribution and maybe then I know people don't like I don't know, what do you think? I think consulting helps. What I'm trying to say is I sometimes see people who build a product and they never use it themselves.
Yeah.
Uh,
Dog fooding.
yeah.
Dog feeding. Yeah.
And when you consult, for the clients who are using the product, you see like what we do with Martians a lot, we see how the product is being used, how it's being kind of misused, how it's being misconfigured. Anyway,
And that information is so powerful,
right?
so valuable
Yeah.
because you get to improve your product.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You get
And then you run into problems yourself using your product,
yes.
so you immediately improve.
Yes.
So I think consulting is not a bad thing, especially in, I don't know, imagine you have your product is a side project,
Yeah.
and you earn money with consulting. So better consult, on something related to your product.
Yeah.
Sort of.
That's a win-win.
Yeah, that's a way. Yeah, I also think
I think it's great.
because people can specialize in something.
Yeah. That's,
Okay, so Irina, thanks a
So
lot
we
for
solved
joining us.
we solved the
open source
so we solved
monetization.
we solved the sustainability of open source. Now it's up to
Just like this.
just like this. It's what's next.
Yeah.
Yeah. Irina, thanks for joining us for this mini episode, and let's go see the next talk.
Exactly. Yeah.
See you guys.
Excited. Thanks.
Okay. So
That was fun.